Hi there, and welcome to Open, the show opening the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Gary Axelbank, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll talk about how one organization is advocating for increased state funding to expand access to child care assistance. After that, we'll discuss the legacy of Eagle Academy and their continued fight for equity in education. Finally, we'll discuss how social media shapes well-being and self-image in today's youth and ways to foster healthier digital habits. So stay tuned. All this and much more headed your way because we're now officially open. Hey folks, I'm Gary Axelbank, and you are now watching Open, a program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers of the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being simultaneously broadcast on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on throughout the past week, as you well know. We'll take you through it with some of our Bronx updates. We start with transportation news. Starting April 16th, the Department of Transportation and NYPD will enforce stricter license plate visibility rules, and non-compliance could cost you $50. To avoid fines, ensure that your plate is properly attached to your vehicle and positioned 12 to 48 inches above the ground. Plates should also be kept clean, free from rust or coverings obstructing its ability to the human eye or, of course, enforcement cameras. It's important to note that even previously compliant plates, may no longer meet current standards. Routine inspections can help prevent any confusion. Make sure you get it right. It's important. In other news, New York is now under a statewide burn ban through May 14th to reduce wildfire risks. Officials warn open burning is the leading cause of wildfires in the state, with the boroughs at high fire risk during spring. Residents are urged to avoid any outdoor open flames and properly dispose of cigarettes to prevent accidental fires. Violating the burn ban could result in a $500 fine. In city news, the Department of Sanitation will begin issuing fines on April 1st for property owners who fail to comply with the city's mandatory composting program. Fines will range from $25 to $100 for buildings with 1 to 8 units and $100 to $300 for larger buildings with 9 or more units. This follows an October mandate that's aimed at reducing waste and promoting environmental sustainability. Composting, as you probably know, includes food waste, yard trimmings, and food-soiled paper, which should be separated from regular trash and placed in a lidded bin for pickup on recycling days. So that's it for the Bronx updates. We'll take a quick break, but then we'll have more Open when we come back.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend." "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Open. You know what I'm about to say. Access to affordable, high-quality child care is a critical issue for families in the Bronx and across New York City. In 2024, WHEDco was selected as one of 3 nonprofits to partner with the New York City Administration for Children's Services on the what they call C4, Childcare Community Connection Project, which is an initiative designed to help families navigate the often complicated child care system. Joining us to tell us more is WHEDco's Director of Home-Based Child Care Services. It's Elizabeth Ghunney. Nice to have you with us.
Hi, Gary.
And a Parent Enrollment Child Care Data Management person. It is Cynthia Rodriguez. Nice title for you, Cynthia, but we're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Elizabeth, let's just start with you. I'm going to just say what I think. If I hear one more time about we don't have enough child care for the children and the families in the Bronx and through the city and frankly through the nation, I think I'm going to scream. We've talked about it and talked about it. What are you doing and what is WHEDco doing to address this very serious issue?
Thank you, Gary. So at WHEDco, we believe and we know that childcare fuels opportunity. And as you know, a part of our work as WHEDco is to help bring the kinds of resources that thriving neighborhoods have to everyone, give them access to that. We know that access to childcare and to childcare businesses that thrive is one of that. So our home-based childcare program works to do just that. We have so many opportunities for men and women, New Yorkers, who want to build and grow, thrive in childcare. Our teams work to train them, to provide the support they need, and we coach them along the process. And as we'll talk about later, we also help parents access the childcare programs after they're built.
You know, you mentioned this whole idea of opportunity. Let's really just to lay the groundwork. If a family doesn't have the proper place for a young child to be, I mean, we realize school is one thing, but they may not be ready for school. You know, what do? That means maybe one parent has to stay home or they have to find somebody else to care for it. And then, of course, you want it to be a quality program so that the child is not just sitting there like this, and the child really ends up, you know, learning and growing as a toddler ought to do. So just talk a little bit about the importance of having this for families, and then we'll talk about some of the specifics with both you and Cynthia.
Yes, thank you, of course. Yes, we know that the child care workforce is the workforce that supports our workforce in general, right? Without a workforce that is caring for children in a safe environment, parents do not have the peace of mind to go out and look for work, to go to school. So our work is really supporting that workforce so that they are equipped to give parents that peace of mind. So our childcare providers understand, for instance, that there's a non-negotiable adherence to New York State standards for childcare. They understand what health and safety means, and they understand that they have to abide by that. We do the work to educate them and help them around compliance. We go the extra mile to help them understand that quality childcare also requires that the childcare providers are going through continuous professional growth, continuous education.
They themselves
They
need
themselves,
the education. Of course,
they
it makes
themselves
total
need the
sense.
education. So our training department is providing free classes for childcare providers to support them. Our coaches go into their homes to make sure that what we're teaching them in the classrooms are being implemented.
I'm smiling because, you know, it's very easy to say, well, you know, go find a place that you can do it. But of course, if you're working with the people who are implementing the child care, that's of course a vital thing. Last question for you, and then we'll bring Cynthia into the conversation. You mentioned home-based. Just define what that means, and then Cynthia is going to do like a C4 thing for us.
Okay, thank you, Gary. So we say home-based childcare. It encompasses all family childcare providers who are caring for children in their own homes. So these are childcare business owners, but they're working from their living rooms. They're working from their basements that have been converted into childcare spaces. They're working from their homes. However, they've gone through a rigorous licensing process.
I was going to say, we can't have, you know, kids just coming into places where you don't know what's going on.
No, that we know what's going on. New York City Department of Health knows what's going on and has licensed them to provide child care. For a lot of parents, they are a great option because they're the next door neighbor that's right next to your home. They're the friend who lives down the hallway who you know and trust. But because it's a homey environment,
You got to make sure everything is up to standard. Cynthia, you know, listen, my arithmetic when I got early childhood education said that if you have childcare community connection, that's 3 C's. How did we get C4?
Because it's the community child's care connection.
We're doing the 2 C's in
Yes,
child
that
care.
is right.
But so what is this C4 connection, and why is it so important to WHEDco and to the people of the Bronx?
So the Community Child Care Connection Program is an initiative to expand access to child care assistance, and therefore allowing parents to cover the cost of care. And
Cover the cost of care.
Yes. So
I'm putting an exclamation point on that.
we support families with the child care application assistance process, and we connect families to subsidized child care, allowing families to pursue employment, education, stable housing, all while knowing that their children are in developmentally appropriate settings.
What's the process to get a family involved? I mean, there's always bureaucracy, there's always paperwork, but what does a family need to know? And somebody who's watching us right now, what do they need to know to get involved with C4?
So we have done outreach by going to where families go to. We have attended community events. We've gone to food pantries, shelters. We have done flyering at libraries, in the community's corner store, at laundromats, pediatrician offices.
What would we do without WHEDco? Go ahead, I'm sorry, because this is where we live, this is who we are, and they're right in there. I just love it so much.
Yes, and I think as a community-based organization with over 30 years in working with people in the community, there is a comfort that comes in working with us hand in hand, where families view us as a resource, and we are able to educate and advise families who may not have known that they were eligible for child care assistance.
One of the things that excites me about it is that this is in coordination with ACS,
Yes.
with the Administration for Children's Services. Talk about that collaboration and why it's important. Or is this in your your bailiwick? Yeah, go ahead.
thank you, Gary. So application for childcare assistance, the process is one that's handled by ACS. But through the C4 project, it's actually a very innovative idea, which we have
That's
found.
why we brought it up. This is what
Yeah.
WHEDco, folks, if you don't know, WHEDco has been doing this for decades. So there you go. Go ahead.
I say innovative because for the first time, New York City is saying we're partnering with the community-based organizations to take on some of the work of helping parents access childcare assistance. And it's a great idea because who else would be best equipped to do it than the people who are on the ground with the families, the people who see them, who work with them. Right. These are our families. So we think it's been so successful because we've been doing it in our community.
How long has it been in place, this relationship?
Since
Yeah.
June 2024.
So
June,
so it's relatively new.
Relatively new.
Which is what I was going to ask you, Cynthia. How large an operation is this at this point? And it sounds to me like, especially because you're here, this opportunity is there and you want people to know about it.
The opportunity is there and we do want people to know about it. We have been able to help a little over 1,300 families.
1,300?
Yes, and we...
people, I just have to tell you this. People throw out numbers. Do the count on your fingers and get up to 1,300. That's how many families are being served. It's just wonderful. Go ahead, I'm sorry. I had to interject.
And by doing this work, we are allowing families to be part of the fabric in their communities and to be able to be independent and provide that financial independence to their families while having their children in an appropriate daycare setting.
Can you just, before we run out of time, give me an example of somebody you know or somebody you've brought in and say, wow, this really worked out for them? I'm sure you know.
We have many
examples.
We have many examples of families who come and are so thankful for the help and the assistance that we're able to provide for them because it allows them to move forward with looking for employment or being able to continue to be employed or being able to pursue a higher education.
I just think it's fantastic. Thank you so much. Elizabeth, just how do people get in touch with you? How do they find the program?
Oh, please go to our website, www.WHEDco.org.
Okay, and then you look for childcare and you could do C4, whatever. Listen, you guys are the best. You know how I feel about WHEDco and how BronxNet feels about WHEDco. Elizabeth Ghunney, thank you. Cynthia Rodriguez, thank you. And for more information, as we said, you can visit their website at WHEDco.org. Don't go away. We'll be back more open right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at BronxNet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit BronxNet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Welcome back to Open. With ongoing conversations about the future of diversity, equity, and inclusion that's going on in our society, one organization continues to set the standard for uplifting young men of color. It is the Eagle Academy, and the Eagle Academy Foundation recently celebrated its 20th anniversary gala, marking 2 decades of impact through education, mentorship, and leadership development. Joining us is the Eagle Academy for Young Men's Alumni and Board of Directors member. It is Latif Elam. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice having me.
You know, I've known about Eagle Academy since it was founded. I've been around on this TV station for a long time, and let's just start at the beginning. Talk about what the idea of the Eagle Academy was and how it's continued now in its 20th year.
Yeah, so the idea of the Eagle Academy really came about because throughout New York City, there were like 9 neighborhoods that were really heavy in really bringing people from those neighborhoods to prison, right? So the Eagle Academy really looked at, you know, the ecosystem to really understand these neighborhoods and strategically place these schools, these public schools, in these neighborhoods. So we started out in the Bronx in 2004.
Everything good starts in the Bronx. Nobody knows it, but we tell that story every day.
And then since then, we've grown to 6 schools, 5 across all the boroughs, and then 1 in Newark, New Jersey.
What makes this distinctive and able to address that unfortunate community to prison pipeline and intercede in it so it doesn't exist anymore?
Well, so the Eagle Academy, the schools themselves they were founded by the Eagle Academy Foundation as well as the 100 Black Men. So both organizations just really understanding what it takes to really not raise, but I would say grow and develop young men and really understanding the challenges that they're facing. So I think they really looked at those reasons and said, how do we develop and create a safe spaces for young men to grow, develop, and be the leaders in their communities?
Now, you are a graduate and
Yes.
you're now a board member.
Yes.
What was it? I don't know if we want to talk about what you were and what you became, or what was it at the Eagle Academy that inspired you to this day? You're sitting here talking on TV about it.
Yeah, I think for me, Eagle was really beneficial because they provide opportunity. I think coming in as a 14-year-old at the Eagle Academy at that time, it was the first time that our school actually became a full building where we had 9th through 12th grade. So I got to actually be in really early and just being a part of that first group, and also I learned how to advocate for myself. I think Eagle is the first place that really teaches you that, one, this is what you're up against in the real world, right? And this is how people view you. And it's important for you to show up and create a legacy for those who are coming behind you.
And you find that communication with the young people, I mean, I recall very early on there was a very successful debate team, and it was almost like it came out of nowhere, but this is the kind of, I'll use the word empowerment, that seems to work well for young people to transform lives.
I agree.
Let's just talk about now the foundation and how it has grown from just being a single school in the South Bronx, and then of course now the 6 schools. Talk about the foundation and where it's at right now and what the attempt is here in the 20th year.
Of course. So like I mentioned earlier, we have a network of 6 schools. They are public schools throughout New York City and 1 in Newark, New Jersey. Currently, we've launched our Taking Flight campaign, which is really to launch.
Say that again.
Taking Flight.
Taking Flight campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to underline it for our friends.
Yeah, so it's our 20th year campaign. We're really looking to raise $10 million to
$10 million.
$10 million. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to write you a check.
Well, you still can. This is not over.
Well, it wouldn't be worth anything, but I'd be happy to write it out. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Of course. So our goal is really to continue to support young men in post-secondary support. So one thing that we do is that we have what's called Eagle Soaring and Beyond, which is one of our key programs that after students graduate from the Eagle Academies, we make sure to stay connected with them and provide them with internship opportunities, training and development opportunities, and really how to grow as a professional. So it's one thing to graduate from one of our schools, but it's another thing to get the actual training that's necessary to be successful in college and career, et cetera.
I think one of the things that really distinguishes Eagle Academy from really any other schools, public schools, is what you just addressed. They put in place all the systems that would say, well, okay, you didn't just graduate high school and, good luck and goodbye and good luck. But they really work with people to figure out what college you're going to go to, what are your interests, and let's develop those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Those are the kinds of things, I guess, that young people have been benefiting from all along the way.
Exactly.
What really for you was the most important thing, and that the foundation and the Eagle Academy has put into place that really inspires you and helps you lead the life you live now?
I would say this is a focus on principles. I think at the Eagle Academy, one thing.
And you don't mean the school principles?
No, not the school principles. Principles in terms of like how you carry yourself. I think one of the things that's really important to our work is that brotherhood is like one thing that comes up, especially.
Are they all boys schools?
Yes, they all boys schools. So each of them, well, not each of them, but now they're 6 through 12. So we have middle school students all the way through the 12th grade. Originally, it started out with just high school students, but we learned that it's important to actually start a bit younger, especially for young men, so that they have that foundational training coming into high school.
Well, but just talk about the notion of the young men being together as opposed to being, I guess it keeps them somewhat focused, we would think.
Yeah.
Just talk about that camaraderie that develops between the students there.
Well, I think a lot of camaraderie. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a brotherhood. I think you may go to one Eagle school, right, in the Bronx or in Harlem or in Queens, but there's a larger brotherhood of those schools together as well. I think Eagle really creates safe spaces for young men to grow and to develop and to learn who they are as people, right? They're not all the same. And I think for me, I really benefited from that and the fact that I got the opportunity to really be exposed to so much at an early age. And a lot of the organizations that Eagle connected to me with when I was younger, like I'm still volunteering and supporting to this day. So it really instills the importance of giving back and also the importance of making a change and really advocating for yourself.
What really comes through, and you talked about it for yourself and now you talked about it for others, is the notion of individual, that it's not I realize you have a basketball team and everybody's on the team together, but it's really the individual, and because you talked about got you to stand up, to represent yourself, to figure out who you are. And I think that's missing because there's, especially in this day and age with the internet and everything else, there's a lot of this kind of like, everybody's got to be the same and they got to follow each other. So you talked about organizations. Talk about Worldwide Technology, WWT.
Yes.
What is it that they do that you partner with that works for the young men?
Well, Worldwide Technology has just really shown, not only financially, but from as far as support and partnership, that they really value the work that the Eagle Academy Foundation is doing. Like I mentioned, we had a gala that actually took place at the beginning of February, and they actually were honored at our gala because of their work and contributions. And I think just given all the political climate and things that are going on, for like a corporation to lean in and say, hey, this is still important and this is still something that we want to support and put our hands around, I think that's been the most beneficial piece.
I guess, you brought it up, and it's probably on everybody's mind, and we mentioned the whole notion of DEI, of course, is under attack, frankly. There doesn't seem to be any compromise here from the Eagle Academy. This is who we are, this is what we're going to do, and regardless of what's out there, that we're just going to move forward because this is this is what we were founded on, really. Yeah,
so our 6 schools aren't going anywhere, right? Like we're going to continue to graduate young men at a 98% graduation rate.
Wow, I was going to ask about the grad. 98%, folks.
Yeah, we've graduated over 3,000 Eagles across the city and New Jersey, right? So we're going to continue to lean in and support our schools. We're also going to continue to support young men in their post-secondary careers and opportunities. So looking to train them, get them connected to internships, career opportunities, and then also, which is our newer vision, I would say, is our Eagle Institute, something we've been doing for quite some time, but really just focusing our attention to training the actual teachers and the ones who are in these school spaces to really help expand our reach nationally.
And it propagates to,
exactly.
for the next generation.
Exactly.
Bottom line here, what's the bottom line message for the general public right now about why this is important and what you want them to know about Eagle Academy.
So general message I would say is one, to
Make your pitch. Go ahead.
Yeah, check us out on www.eafny.org. And then also I would say young men of color, young men in general, really need the support in terms of growing and developing and reaching their dreams. I think the Eagle Academy is one of the great places that is actually doing the work, and we want to continue to share like the things that we've learned over this 20 years nationally. So with other organizations, other states, and it's really helping to expand the reach really in terms of helping young men.
Well, listen, I think it's the greatest thing, and as I mentioned to you beforehand, I mean, I was well aware when Eagle Academy was founded 20 years ago. Congratulations on continuing. Let's do 20 years. Come back here 20 years from now when you're a lot older, and we'll do the 40th celebration and on, because this is how we're going to grow New York City and, of course, our young men in the Bronx. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Latif, Elam, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for more information, of course, visit the website at eafny.org. And again, don't go anywhere. We're not done. We'll be right back.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back to Open. New York City is home to thousands of children and families facing immense challenges from housing insecurity and mental health struggles, etc. But during these difficulties, there's one organization dedicated to providing critical support to ensure that no child is left without the care they need. Darren Jaime had a chance to speak to the Good Shepherd Services Senior Vice President, Ellen O'Hara, and Director of Community and Government Relations, Annie Mingui. Let's take a look.
When we talk about preventative work, obviously there's a great amount of preventative work that Good Shepherd does, but unpack that for us so that way people can become a little bit more familiar with what preventative work is.
Absolutely. Preventive services, the goal of preventive services is to keep families together and out of the child welfare system. There are prevention programs throughout all of New York City that are contracted with ACS. And it is on a continuum from family support services to therapeutic services. Good Shepherd has 6 preventive services, 4 in the Bronx. And the 4 that we have in the Bronx all provide counseling services. We provide case management services, and we also provide resources as well as crisis intervention when needed. And again, the goal is for us to work with families to keep everybody together and out of the child welfare system.
Can you give me an idea as to what you're seeing these days? I mean, you're the ones with boots on the ground. Are you seeing more and more come through your door, more and more cases that you're having to deal with, or are we seeing a decline?
We are seeing more cases coming through. I think the one thing that came out of COVID is the normalization of support and mental health services that people need. So I do think that people are reaching out and asking for support sooner versus later. And we also have started up a new program, which I guess, we will probably talk about later. But we are seeing a lot of families come through our doors with a lot of food insecurity, mental health challenges, immigration things that are going on right now has been a huge concern for a lot of our families.
Yeah. And in tough times like these, the way organizations seem to survive and really do the great work is by the power of collaboration. Give me a little bit about the collaboration efforts that Good Shepherd is engaging in.
So we've been working and really elevating parent voice. That has been a really big work that we've been doing this year, last year and this year, really focused around how we as part of a larger child welfare system can really elevate the voices of families and center them. Families want more prevention work to be done. They don't want children to be removed. This is one of the reasons why Good Shepherd Services authored a article talking about the CARES model, which the Administration for Children's Services has implemented. And we support, it's research based. It's basically recognizing that not all cases reported into the state registry is a case where a child is in imminent danger and require child removal. This really allows ACS to support the families and the children in their home. And it's preventive work. And that's the work that we have been doing in communities for years. And we see that we're able to build trust in communities. We're able to work across agencies to really dive into what is our role in ensuring that we can keep families together and support them with whatever needs they have. So moving away from focused on like the removal, but really like what are the supports and how do we surround families with those supports?
Yeah. When we talk about Black and Latino families and we talk about the child welfare system, we know that there are gross inequities that exist. And I mean, everybody will testify that there's still issues that need to be resolved, longstanding issues that need to be resolved. But as an organization, what are you doing, if you will, to really, address this, given the fact that we know that it's very prevalent?
Sure, I can start and then maybe Ellen can kind of like continue. Good Shepherd Services has been on a journey, anti-racism journey for the last 6 years. And part of that work is looking at like, who are the families that are impacted? How are we a part of the larger system? How do we center family voices? How do we leverage our power as agencies to push back on possibly some policies that are really impacting families? Again, why as an agency, we've come out and said to ACS, thank you for looking at other ways that we can support families. We have been working very closely with JMAC Families. This is an organization that's founded by parents of lived experience with the foster care system and have been really engaging around how we as agencies in the community can really support the work that families need to see us doing in the community. We do really good work, and yet still we're finding that we could be doing more to support families and to ensure that when they are touched by the child welfare system, that they feel that they have the rights, that they know what their rights are, and that they are most supported in the community. Ellen?
Yeah, keep going, Ellen. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
That's okay. Good Shepherd was just awarded a contract through ACS called we are naming it the Family Counseling for School Success. And it is a program schools have been the predominant source of call in to the state central registry, with most of the cases called in unfounded. So ACS put out an RFP for contracts for providing preventive services connecting with several schools. So for Good Shepherd, we have that contract, and we're working with 3 schools in the Fordham Morris area, so that when challenges are happening in the school, instead of the school calling that case into the state central registry, they're reaching out to us so that we can provide support, because most of those call-ins are often related to poverty issues or challenges that could be remedied by seeking counseling. So that is another way that we are really working to reduce the inequities that are happening within the systems.
Yeah. Well, I know you're doing great work. I got to go, but I got to ask the question before I leave. How can the public really do a job of supporting the work that's going on there?
Go ahead, Ellen.
Well, if anybody is in need of support, to reach out, to absolutely reach out to, as I said, Good Shepherd has 4 programs in the Bronx. They can call our main office number at 718-924-2511, and just really ask for help if they need help. We are here to help.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing, Ellen and Annie. Thank you. Coming to us from Good Shepherd, and we want to thank you for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take
All righty.
care.
Well, now, if
Bye-bye.
you want more information, please visit the website at goodshepherds.org. That is goodshepherds with an S.org. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back more open coming up right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express that? Thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Okay, welcome back to Open, with studies showing a strong link between excessive screen time and the rising rates of anxiety and depression among teens, concerns over social media's impact on young minds continue to grow. In response, policymakers and educators are pushing for measures to limit distractions in schools, while mental health professionals stress the importance of balance and healthy digital habits. Joining us is JCCA's Program Supervisor of the Westchester Day Treatment. It is Andrea Cimino. Thank you for joining us, Andrea.
Thank you for having me.
And the Assistant VP of Behavioral Health Wellness-Westchester. It is Budy. I want to pronounce it right. Budy Garcia-Whitfield. Nice to have you both
Thank
with
you for
us.
having us.
Thank
here.
you.
Let's just talk about JCCA in general, just so people know what the framework that we're going to be talking about.
Of course, JCCA is one of the oldest non-for-profit organizations. We've been around for almost over 200 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we
And
started
I
off.
can't say, unlike the previous guest, I can't say that I was there the first day.
Yeah, no.
Not quite.
We started off as an orphanage. So when children were coming from Israel, they came over and we had an orphanage. And so then it expanded through the years and it immersed itself into a foster care agency. And then it continued to expand. And we provide school-based services, mental health services, and all behavioral health services across New York State in the continuum.
You know, I was just talking with you before about that I've been sitting in this seat for a long time and seeing what goes on in the Bronx, and frankly, you could see it on the program we've already done. The whole notion of families and supporting families and dealing with the whole picture of what goes on in families is vital, and I guess that's what you do, and I guess you recognize this grassroots concept of serving families.
Yes,
just talk a little bit
absolutely.
about the best of what you do that makes that work.
I think I've been with the organization almost 20 years, so I've held a position in almost every single division. So seeing the work and how it's evolved and the different families that we have and the children's, it's seeing the evolution of the workers that are coming into the field with this sense and this need to want to save and to help others
Well,
who
is that
are
ever
in
a
struggling
Bronx
communities.
concept if I've ever heard one? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And so in looking at the parents, we've always had to kind of morph ourselves, even as clinicians, in the work that we do and how we approach culture, backgrounds, community, what's important to the family, so that we make sure that keeping children in their community but providing the services that's necessary is important, while also destigmatizing mental health.
Andrea, we introduced this by talking about the digital situation.
Yes.
Let's connect the dots between mental health and what is out there in social media, and especially young people. For 2 years, they sat and looked at screens.
Oh,
they didn't get to go out and be in school with other people.
Yeah.
Talk about the general look at the mental health of young people as regards this digital age.
Yeah, of course. Well, as you already alluded to, the pandemic definitely was a huge factor that contributed to more and more youth using social media. They already were using it. But I think it's really important to note that it's something where kiddos can get a fear of missing out, or FOMO as they call it. They'll look on their screens and they'll see, oh,
I've never heard that. Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing
FOMO.
out.
FOMO.
FOMO, yep. I gotta stay in touch with the youth's language. But, they see all of these exciting experiences on social media, right? Whether it's posted by influencers or people they know. And I think it can be so important to realize that social media is really just a highlight reel, right? We are just seeing the wonderful moments, the best days. No one's posting, crying in the shower. It's a rough, there's rough times that happen to people, but they don't always show it. And I think youth don't always realize that they're just seeing the good moments. Maybe they can think, oh, other people aren't going through these depressive feelings or these anxious feelings. Why don't I look like that? Why isn't my life like this? And it can be really difficult with comparisons.
You know what's interesting, and I was just thinking while you were talking, in previous days, before we had the internet and all these things, when you'd see commercials and everybody in the commercial was beautiful and looked a certain way, there was a lot of pressure on young people to be that.
Oh,
and of
yeah.
course, we're regular people. We can't all be this, that, or the other. But with social media, it's infinitely worse because everybody's got a phone that they've got in their hand and they can see it, and who knows what the images that come by, and then of course with a young person so impressionable.
Of course.
Is there a way to make this work as opposed to have it be a difficult problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because social media definitely, it's not all bad. It is a tool. It's a way that we can connect with others. It's a way where we can look and see, okay, this is what I want for myself. This is a way of achieving my goals. And I think just with everything, we need to utilize it in moderation. So there's a difference between I'm going to relax and scroll for a little bit versus I'm staying up all hours of the night. I'm just on TikTok, and next thing I know, the school
And then
alarm's
we're
going
sitting
off.
here and we're staring at our phone literally all day.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. That to me gets into parenting as much as it is with just trying to lecture a young person. Good luck with that. Right?
course,
And so
yeah.
part of this message is really for parents as well.
Absolutely.
Well, what is the advice for parents?
So with parents, I think enforcing healthy limits for themselves as well to show their kiddos, listen, we're all doing this together. We all benefit from breaks on social media. Maybe taking time to eat dinner as a family, just half hour, we put the phones down. I know it's a crazy concept, at least at this stage.
It used to not be crazy.
It used to
the
not
way that we
be.
live. That's
Exactly.
correct.
And we've definitely drifted farther from that. But I think leading by example is going to be such a helpful point.
Budy, let's just talk about this whole notion of digital issues in the context of JCCA.
Yeah.
I guess you talked about 20 years. You've been there a long time. You've had to change, and JCCA has had to change to go with these kind of new issues.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, as an organization, how you have tried to deal with these things.
I think the evolution of everything with technology, right? Before we would have pick up the phone and have more phone calls, more phone contact. Before we didn't have cell phones as an organization, right? You had to call someone at the desk phone, make sure you checked it, you checked your voicemail, and get back to them 24 hours later. So if you look at the voicemail notes, they would say, we can get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. Now everything is super accessible. And so that boundaries piece has kind of lost its essence because families can find you, providers can find you, your boss can find you, your staff can find you, everyone can find you even more accessible because you have an organizational phone. But now that expectation has been posed upon our clients. Because we're also accessible, we're expecting the families to also be accessible and not have those boundaries and when they want to have those conversations with us. It's the same thing as families texting us for information or to advise us of something.
And so you have put those systems in place.
Yeah, so everyone in the organization, of course, has a cell phone, so we are super reachable and accessible. But when we look at systems, we look at how we've evolved, even in our electronic health record, and how we're going to continue to evolve in our EHR. One conversation that we've been having as an organization, and there's an organization piloting a lot of non-for-profits to think about how AI comes in to the structure of having these things.
I was just thinking of all the complications, and now you've just thrown another whole.
I threw another
monkey
wrench to
into
you,
it.
of course, but AI, that's a whole different, subdivision of a conversation. But the accessibility so that clients can feel that they are having a conversation with someone. Think about all of the different mental health organizations, the for-profit organizations that are now taking advantage of texting if you feel you are stressed, 988, etc. Having those conversations when you feel you need immediate gratification to talk to someone because you're feeling an urgent need.
So you
We've provided
have that opportunity.
So there's opportunities to connect with us on a 24/7 basis. Everyone is on call because we want to make sure that we're supporting our clients.
I'm going to get back to Andrea with this concept. This taps into something that I'm very particular as a communications professional. I try to get in touch with people, and you mentioned that, that you're always available. A lot of people do this, and they put the phone down, and then all of a sudden they don't talk to you. And to me, so how do we get people to use these devices properly so that they really still do communicate? I mean, I deal with people, and in the old days, like you said, you picked up the phone, you called somebody, maybe you left a message, and they'd call you back. Or if they were there, they'd call and they'd say, "Oh, okay, I'll be right back." Nowadays, it's gone. How do we get people to really communicate in the framework of this so that all the other mental health issues at least get addressed.
Yeah, of course. And I think an important thing to realize is that phone usage, social media, it's not going anywhere, right? Like, so we have to figure out, I know, darn.
It's gonna expand.
We have to figure out how to evolve alongside of it. And I think promoting different opportunities of face-to-face contact, right? Utilizing even video chats. That way kiddos are able to recognize some body language, because that's something that's been declining over recent years, recognizing different nonverbal cues, picking up body language, because when we're texting and typing on a screen, we're not reading the text messages body language.
How many of us have received a text and said, "Oh, I didn't really mean that," because you didn't hear how I said it? So what framework do you use? Do you have meetings? Do you work with people individually? How does that work?
All of the above. Yes.
All of the above.
All of the above. We meet for individual, we meet with groups, we meet with families as a whole. A lot of my clients have already come up to me with goals of wanting to detach from social media, wanting to spend less time on their phones.
I'm trying, folks.
You're trying.
It's not working, but I am trying.
Well, listen, and I think the important thing to realize, it doesn't have to be these big drastic changes. I have someone that I work with, and we try just 5 minutes a day. Put your phone down, set an alarm, do anything else. And gradually that 5 minutes became 10 minutes. It became 15 minutes.
You say you actually have somebody you did.
Yeah.
And keep going. 15 minutes.
15
and now where
minutes.
Are they at?
They're at 2 hours. They're at 2 hours at this point.
2 hours every day that they do not.
They disconnect.
And do you have a sense that they've been mentally healthier? Or?
I do. I've noticed an improvement in their self-care, and they have also seemed to be more observant of themselves, their own feelings, their emotions, their thoughts. They've been able to reflect more inward rather than deflecting and focusing on the screen.
Budy, let's just conclude with the people who want to be in touch, who want to learn more, and of course want to participate in this whole process, especially for parents who are like, what am I going to do with these kids?
Absolutely. As I said, JCCA has a continuum of services where we are happy to support anyone who qualifies for the services, to really support them in their mental health. And so you can reach us at www.jccany.org.
Both of you, thank you so much for
Thank you
recognizing
so
what's
much.
going on out there and working together to help our families. This is it's practically the theme of the show this morning. Anyway, thank you both for joining us. For more information, once again, you can visit the website at jccany.org. So, we've come to the end of our program today. We'd like to thank all our guests for joining us. And you too, the people of the Bronx, the viewers, most important of all. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the re-cablecast on Optimum Channel 67, FiOS 2133, or watch anytime on the web, the evil web, at BronxNet.org. This wraps up our episode, and everybody stay well. I'm Gary Axelbank. Make sure to keep this channel wide open. Take care.